Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to another lesson on Race to Respond. So when we're answering a question about the text, we want to make sure we restate the question, we answer the question, but really, really importantly, we need to cite the evidence. We need to prove our answer. You've probably heard me say this before. You'll tell me what you think, and I'll say, prove it. Why do you think that? Well, why do you think that? And when we are citing evidence from the text, we are finding specific examples in the text to support our answer, and we want to be as specific as possible because the evidence is why people can believe what we're saying. It supports what we know, and so it's important to cite evidence in so many different parts of our life, whether we're talking about the news or why we believe what we believe with our faith, or when we're talking to our parents and trying to explain the events of our day. We want to have evidence to support our thinking, right? So we are going to look into that today. So evidence is the proof that what you believe is true. So for example, if someone might say, it's raining outside, how could someone prove to you that it is raining? Well, there's multiple ways you could prove that it's raining. By what you hear, right? You can listen and you could hear it's raining. There's this very certain specific sound it makes when it's raining. By what you see, you could look out the window and see that it's raining, or what you experience. You could walk out in the rain and feel it on your skin. We can also prove that something is true by asking someone who witnessed the event to tell us what they know, right? So if you want to prove that it is raining, you could ask someone just outside, hey, is it raining out there? What's the weather like? Because they are a witness. They were just outside and saw the weather. And so as long as that person is reliable and they answered you honestly, you would know if it was raining or not. So we can also prove that something is true by reading an account written by someone who witnessed or took part in an event. So, for example, Theodore Roosevelt was a president of the United States. And if you wanted to know when he was nominated or chosen to be vice president, you could read his autobiography, which is a book about his life. And in the 4th chapter, he says, in 1900, I was nominated for vice president. Well, now, if we wanted to communicate that to someone else and tell them that he was elected vice president, we would want to cite, not S-I-G-H-T, like I can see over there what's in my cite, but C-I-T-E, what we know. So that means to quote a source for the purpose of giving proof. So let's look at this example. I know that Theodore Roosevelt was nominated for vice president in the year 1900 because the chapter of his autobiography, he states, in 1900, I was nominated for vice president. And then you would want to go a step further and include the page number so that people know, if I go to page 84 of his biography, I'm going to find the answer to this question. So when we say what's in the text, we always, always, always put the words in quotation marks. And anytime we copy information directly from a source, we put it in quotation marks so it stands out from what we are writing. We're not going to take credit for what someone else said. We're going to put it in quotation marks, right? So we also cite our source, so we say where we found it. So in this example, we said in the 4th chapter of his autobiography, he states, in 1900, I was nominated for vice president. Now, if you wanted, you could also paraphrase. And if someone asked you, when was Theodore Roosevelt nominated for vice president? You could say, I know that Theodore Roosevelt was nominated for vice president in the year 1900 because in the 4th chapter of his autobiography, he specifically mentioned that he was nominated in 1900. You wouldn't have to put that in quotes. But if you're taking something directly from the text, it needs to be in quotes. So when we are giving proof that something is true, we cite evidence. To cite is to quote a source for the purpose of giving proof. And the evidence is the information we are quoting, the proof of what we believe. So we want to make sure our readers know where we got our facts from. So we cite the sources of our evidence and write the citation in quotation marks. That's why in our example, we said in the 4th chapter of his autobiography. So in academic writing, which is what you guys do all the time, we want to make sure we use academic language, right? So when we're citing evidence, we're going to use phrases like, as the author states, an example from the passage is, The author's technique shows, the author's word choice shows, as indicated or shown in chapter 4. These are all examples of phrases we can use to cite evidence. So let's actually practice, because this skill works with fiction and nonfiction. So let's practice with a fable. And a fable is a story that teaches a lesson. A hungry wolf spied a goat browsing at the top of a steep cliff where he could not possibly get at her. "That is a very dangerous place for you," he called out, pretending to be very anxious about the goat's safety. "What if you should fall? Please listen to me and come down. Here you can get all you want of the finest, tenderest grass in the country." The goat looked over the edge of the cliff. "How very, very anxious you are about me," she said, "and how generous you are with your grass. But I know you. It's your own appetite that you are thinking of, not mine." Why does the wolf want the goat to come down from the cliff? Time for some detective work. Well, when we're looking here, we're going to look for clues about what the wolf is trying to do. We see that the hungry wolf sees the goat, and he's at a spot where he could not get at her. And then later it says he pretended to be really anxious or nervous about the goat's safety. And then at the very end, the goat says, "It's your own appetite you are thinking of, not mine." So why does the wolf want the goat to come down from the cliff? I can put all those clues together, and then I can answer my question. I know that the wolf wants the goat to come down from the cliff so we can eat her for dinner. In the text, it states that the goat is on the cliff where the wolf could not possibly get at her, paragraph 1. And that the wolf was pretending to be very anxious, paragraph 2, while trying to convince the goat to come down and eat. The goat realizes the wolf's appetite is to eat her and says, "It's your own appetite you are thinking of, not mine." So let's review our answer. The first thing we do when we're responding is we restate the question. Did I restate the question? Yes, I put it in red. I know that the wolf wants the goat to come down from the cliff. Then, after we restate the question, we need to answer it. Did I give an answer to the question? Yeah, the answer is he wants to eat her for dinner. Then finally, I was giving some evidence. And my evidence is listed here. Could not possibly get at her, pretending to be very anxious, and it's your own appetite. Notice that all of these things are in direct quotes because I took them directly from the text, and I also said the paragraph from which I found the information. That shows that I'm reliable and can be trusted. Did I use academic language as well when I was supporting my answer? Yes, I said in the text it states. In the text it states. I'm telling my reader of my answer that they can look back in the text and find proof to support my thinking. So there are lots of different ways that we could have answered this question, but what's important is that we restated, we answered, we gave academic language, and we used academic language, and we gave evidence from the text. So today you're going to continue practice citing evidence and finding examples of evidence in a text. So do your best to practice and apply this strategy, because this is so important as a reader and a writer and as a thinker. We want to use evidence and tell people where we found our evidence so that we are credible or believable. And it also pushes us to think deeper about why we think what we think. All right, have a great day and go evidence hunting.